Okay, so here we are. It's night 2, and what I want to do tonight, start off by talking about the assessment. What we're actually going to create, if you take a look at this, we're going to be creating something that's very similar to an infographic. And essentially what an infographic is, and it's sort of a cross between an infographic and a set of directions. And I mean, I'm looking for you to be creative with this. I don't want you to just do some old dull thing. Using Illustrator, create a set of directions for one of the following tasks. It should be such that it is appropriate for the audience of an 8th grade education level. So really, you don't need this thing to be ultra sophisticated. You want this thing to be, and I don't want to use the word dumbed down because that's not either. I want it to be something that people will look at and want to look at. In other words, you want to make it compelling enough that people are going to look at this and go, oh, this is interesting. I'd like to read the whole thing. You know, a lot of times you make things and people look at it and they're like, and they walk away. In this case, I'm really hoping that you can come up with a way of doing this that will keep the people, their attention and make them want to get through the whole thing. Now, of course, the focus is really on illustration using Adobe Illustrator. Arrows, you can use any kind of a thing that you want to help you to do this. I mean, I really am looking for your creativity. As long as you're using Adobe Illustrator and as long as you're, creating something that involves imagery and text, I think you'll be just fine. So what the tasks involve, and you don't have to make all of these, you just pick one. Making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, choosing a light bulb or changing a light bulb, tying a necktie, making coffee, set a table for 4, making a bed, brush your teeth, something like that would do. And I don't know actually. I guess maybe these are your choices. I guess this is probably your choices. Now, if you came up with something that you think you would like to do, maybe send me an email. And then if I get the email and I agree with what your premise is, I might let you work on that particular premise. What they're asking for you to turn in as a native Adobe Illustrator file and make sure that you convert all text to outlines. I did mention this last night. It's very important for you to understand that for me to be able to take a look at your work in Adobe Illustrator so that I can kind of evaluate what you've done and I can examine it. And you'll see why in a minute. I have an example that I'm going to show you, and I'll give you an idea of what I look for. And I'll even show you a couple of fixes that I did in the particular one that I have. One of the most important things that you need to learn is that when you submit stuff to people as an Adobe PDF document, PDF has the capacity to take fonts and embed the fonts that are being used in the document. Means that if you put live text into your document and put it into Adobe PDF, it will keep those fonts looking the way they do, even if the person who you're sending it to doesn't have that font on their computer. The problem is that if you send an Adobe Illustrator file or a PDF to me and you don't create outlines, and I'll show you how to do it. I don't know whether I haven't really been able to determine what you guys know yet, so I'm going to have to show you this just to make sure you know it. To create outlines, what it does essentially is it takes the text and it makes the text no longer active. It becomes just regular old graphic shapes, and they will display perfectly because they're no longer live text and they're not relying on a font live in a library to present themselves. I'll show you what I mean in a few minutes. But the other thing I wanted to mention to you is that you could send me an Adobe PDF file as long as you make it so that it is viewable or editable in Illustrator. And I will show you how to do those things tonight. Again, I don't know what you know about these things, and I show them just because it's safer to do that than it is to not do that, okay? So that's basically it. You know what your assignment is, and you know what your assessment is. I'm going to do two things tonight. I have an example of one of my students' assessments that I thought was particularly well done, and I'm going to examine that with you, and we'll talk about the one that I have, and I'll show you a couple of things that I found that the student did that I was able to correct for him and give him better ways to work, which is part of what I try to do when I examine a project that you send to me, especially if it's in a native format where I can actually open it up in the program and look it over. I can see what you did, and I can see how you did what you did, and I might be able to suggest better ways of doing things. You'll see that happen when I show you the student work that I'm going to show. By the way, this particular student work is beautifully done. I mean, I'm amazed by it. It's very professional, very clean, very high level visually. It would be ideal if everybody could turn in work that good. It's really, really a nice job. So there it is. What I am going to do is I'm going to bring Adobe Illustrator forward. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, let's see if I can find him. It's probably closed. Let me see if it's open. File, open. And let's go to week 2. No, that's not right. Where is it? Week 1. There we go. And I'm looking for, where are you? Nope. Gotta be in here. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. This is crazy. Oh, there, right, pea butter jelly. There it is. Here it is, right here. It's Eric Scott. This is somebody who, you know, this is Eric Scott's piece. And I have to tell you, visually, he did a pretty good job. I mean, it's really, the graphics are really, really strongly done. As a matter of fact, this isn't the one that I was looking at anyway. Let me go back to File, Open. Let me go back to File, Open. Let's see if that's it. There it is. That's the one I want. I wanted this one. I wanted this one. The reason I wanted this one is because I'm going to demonstrate a few things. All right, so this is his piece. This is what he chose to do, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So the first thing that I want to say to you is that if you take a look at his type, he made really nice type choices up here. I mean, this is a very beautifully designed typesetting job. I mean, with the how to in bold and then make ape coming off of his arm, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Very creative, very much fun, very much in the kind of thinking that you would want for the project that we're working on. Now, also watch this. See how I select that how to, and you see how the how to selects, and it selects sort of like a graphic. Well, that actually is a bitmap. See how that graphic selects? The how to selects the same way, because that is no longer active type. See that right there? That's active type. What that means essentially is I can go into my character panel and I can come down here and I can change that from regular to condensed, or I could even change it to another font. Let's see, I'll find something else. Let's see something, there we go. Okay, so you see how I changed the font and I changed the weight? It went back to regular because that's only font, it's the only size or weight that it has in Mistral. I'm going to go edit, undo. And one more time. Okay, so the point is that that right there is editable text. Now, that font happens to be Myriad Pro. I do have Myriad Pro on my computer. So if this was not outlined, I wouldn't have a problem opening that up And if it weren't outlined and it's substituted to another font like Helvetica or Helios or something like that, I wouldn't have a big problem with that either. And the reason I'm saying that is because all he's doing there is showing me the steps. He's just giving me the steps that you use to create this graphic that he's working on. Now, the text that you have up here, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, there are a couple of different fonts. And, you know, I don't know, to be really honest with you, I don't know whether I actually have those fonts on my machine or not. So if he hadn't done what he did, which is to make this thing outline, see how he made that outline? Oh, and by the way, to make it outline, you click on the font and you go up to the type menu and you come down to where it says create outlines. So it's type, create outlines, and now that is no longer editable text. It's graphic shapes. That's all there is to it. And again, the reason that you're doing this is because you're going to be sending it to me, and you want to make sure that if I open it up in Adobe Illustrator, that it will open, and I'll be able to review it and do what I have to do with it. All right? So very important points, and I wanted to start with that. All right, so now let's take a look at his little infographic here. So he has how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he's got the creamy peanut butter and the jelly, and he's got these two little superhero characters. And again, I'm going to say this, they're extremely well rendered. He did a super job on this visually. His type is just very standard type, but that's okay because his graphics are really just beautiful. Nice job on this. So what I want to do is I want to show you how I really look at this. First of all, like I say, I look at the fonts, I look at the graphics, how well the graphics are done, you know, and that gives me an initial feeling about things. But then I want to take a deeper look. So what I've done here is I've created a rectangular shape. I did this before class. And what I do is I come over here and I put a fill on that. Let's put a fill of like orange or yellow. Let's make it, yeah, yellow's probably good. And hit OK. Now, for some reason, let me go to color. Let's see why this is doing this. It comes out in its grayscale. So HSB. All right, there, that's good. And let's see, I want to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Oh, you know why? Layers. There's your problem. Let me get over here and get to the layers. This guy here, for some reason, ended up on that layer. I want it there. There we go. Okay. So now I have that layer where I want. And by the way, just so that you know, layers are very important. Okay, layers are very important. Here he has his layers. He has things on layers, but he hasn't really organized his layers well enough. Like for instance, he has a title layer, which is good because there's the title elements. Okay, then he has step one, and all of the elements on step one aren't really on step one. Actually, I guess they kind of are. And then he's got step 4 next to step 1, which doesn't make a whole, and on it, it's actually step 2. So his layers aren't really being used properly. He has them misnumbered. So really, when you start using these layers, be more careful than he's been with his layers. The thing that's important about using layers is it's a great way to organize your elements, make the elements such that you can figure out exactly what you have on each particular layer, and you can, if you want, you can lock that layer off, making it easier for you to work. Okay, so again, he's using layers, and I look for this. He's using layers, but he's not using layers properly. Again, what I would do is I would have your step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then I would have my background layer or info layer, and this background layer I put in there because that really is just me showing you how I wanted to show you how I go about checking things. So again, you know, you want to have the steps on their proper layer, and you would have a series of layers for that so that you can lock the layers. That's how you lock the layers. By locking the layers, it makes it so that you can't really mess with any of these layers, and that layer is hidden, by the way. Okay, I'm going to unlock these because I want to get at them. This one can stay locked, and that one can stay. Oops, wait a minute. There's something on that layer. Let's see what it is. What's on that layer? I see. So that's on that layer. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down and oops, it's grouped. Is that grouped? Do it again. Let's see. Object, ungroup. I guess it is. Okay, now I'm going to click on that. Okay, and then I'm going to move that up to layer. That thing is going to go up to layer or step 1, I believe. There we go. Yes, that's correct. Step 1. Okay, so now we're in business. That's step 1, right? And then there's your background layer. For some strange reason, now this guy here is out of place. So let's see if I can straighten this guy out. Let's see here. Those two things have to go at the bottom. They have to go down at the bottom of this, like that. Okay, and they should have a fill of white instead of orange, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Actually, it looks to me like that one there. What's going on with this? Let me just see if I can go to transparency. Where's transparency? Is it transparency? Normal? No, it's normal. I guess it's got to be white and black. I see that. Edit, undo. That's because... So why is that? What did he do here? He's got 2 shapes, 1 shape. I don't know what he's doing with this. I don't know what he's doing with this. So I'd have to really fool around with this to figure out what's going on with this thing. But it's not that it's wrong. It's just that when I put my background color into it, it changes the color. It becomes, see? When I shut the color off, now that thing's in that color. Let's go edit, undo a couple of times. Edit, undo, border. Edit, undo. All right, now let's see here. What happened? Edit, undo. Edit. All right, now let's see here. So that has to go up here. But is it still orange? No, God. And hold on. So bring that down. Let's see if I can do this without going to... Yeah, so it's still picking up that orange. Edit, undo, edit, undo, edit, undo, undo. Oh, you know what? File, revert. Let's go file, revert. File, revert. Let me just revert it. Revert. Okay. Okay, so now I got it back to where we're going. On this layer here, for some reason, this guy here seems to be up on that layer, and it should go down to here. Now, yeah, now it looks like that plate is not on there. Okay, so I think I'm in good shape. I will now make that orange, and let's see if this does help. There. Okay, good. So now I got it straightened out. So, all right, so what am I doing now is I'm looking at this, and I'm saying to myself, what did he do, and what didn't he do? I'm looking, and the first thing that I see are my peanut butter and my jelly. Now, they still look okay with that orange color, except the arms are a little lost. But the thing that I'm noticing is that they have a shadow underneath both of them. And maybe if I actually show you this, it will make more sense to you. Bring the layers back out. So if I hide that, you see that that's a shadow and that's a shadow right there? Okay, so when I put this color on, the shadow doesn't have the right blend mode associated with it. When you create shadows, and again, I know that this is ultimately going on a white background, but the reason I'm doing this is because I want to teach you some things. I want to show you some things and teach you some things. So right away, I look at these two shadows, and now it no longer looks like a shadow. It looks like they're standing on kind of a crumbly or a crooked carpet, and they're not. They're standing with the shadows beneath them. So how do you deal with that? What you would do is you would open up the transparency panel, and you would select the two shadows, okay? And you have these blend modes here. You have a series of blend modes. These are for darkening the image. These are for lightening the image. These are for overlay purposes. And then you've got hue, saturation, color, and luminosity. They all do slightly different things. So for instance, if I overlaid this thing, you see how it looks? It's not the look I'm going for because it certainly doesn't look like a shadow at all. I'm going to try going to darken, because darken or multiply, and usually actually multiply. See, darken looks pretty good, and multiply looks as good. Multiply, just for your information, is the blend mode. It's there. It's located in the transparency panel, window, transparency. It's in the transparency panel under the blend modes, and it's multiply. Now, if I deselect it, you can see that these things look like shadows again. So when I look at a piece of art that somebody creates, I look at it and I try to find things that I can tell them. And again, I'm not saying that he did a bad job on anything. I'm just trying to show him some things that would make this job even better. That's really what my whole purpose is here, is to see if I can make things look better. So that's the first thing. That would make it look better. Second thing, in order for him to hide, and I know exactly what he's doing here, he has this piece of bread that he created, which is pretty cool. He did a really nice job with this piece of bread. And what he did was he used the 3D Extrude and Bevel for all of these little pieces of bread. He did a really pretty phenomenal job with this. This is really nicely done. It's a lot easier, though, than you might think it is. That's the whole point. But I'm wondering about these things here. What he's trying to do, I know exactly what he's trying to do. What he's trying to do is he's trying to make this thing fade. He wants the bread to fade out, and he wants the bread to fade out. And I don't know exactly what he's fading out there because I don't see it on anything. It's just sort of there. Let me just go back into my layers panel and hide that and see. Yeah, I don't know what that's there for because I don't see any reason for that. It might be just he might have just made an error and left that there by error. So I'm going to assume he did, and I'm just going to click it. I'm going to move it over there. See, I don't have any reason for it to be there. There's nothing being hidden by that, you know. But this one here, this one here, this one here, and that one there, I know exactly what he's trying to do. What he's trying to do is, let's go back and look at it. What he's trying to do is he's trying to make that bread fade. And he's trying to make that bread fade. And he's trying to make that knife fade. And he's trying to make that knife fade. That's what he's doing, okay? And on a certain level, I'm not saying what he's doing is completely right. But I'm not going to say it's I'm not going to say it's completely wrong, but it isn't really right. There's a better way to do it, is what I'm getting at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this a little bit better. I'm going to click on this guy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the window menu, and I'm going to open up my gradient. Okay, so I got my gradient panel, and since it's in the way, let me bring it over here. All right, so what I want to do is, instead of going the route that he's going, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change that to black. Okay? And then this one here, I'm going to change to black as well. And this one here, I'm going to change that to black as well. Okay? So now he's got something that looks like that. Now, if he has that positioned properly, this is where I got to lock that layer. I'm going to lock that layer, okay? And what I'm going to do is, let's see if I lock that too. He's got that. Oh, man, that's not even grouped, is it? Jeez. Let me see if I can get that out of the way. Yeah, that's not even grouped. Oh, that's why it's on the direct selection tool. Oh, there we go. All right, so object, lock, selection. I locked that. Bring this back in here. Now what he's trying to do is he's trying to make that bread fade out. Now the way he did it wasn't completely wrong, but it wasn't completely right. And so what I want to do to make this thing right is I want to select this thing, and I want to go to the transparency panel, and I want to make an opacity mask. Let's see. Make opacity mask. Okay? And there, it's actually, all right, let's try it again. All right, let me just do this. I don't need both of these. I just need the one. All right, and I think that might be okay. I'll bring this back a little further. All right, now let's see. Make opacity mask. Invert the mask. It's not working. Oh, you know why it's not selected? Ah, hold on. All right, I have to select both of these things. Okay, so they're both selected. Now let's make a mask. Make opacity mask. There we go. And it's still not working. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, so let's see what it is. I know what it is. I have to go the other way. That's what it is. I have to go the other way. This guy here has to be white. That's got to be white. And it can't be transparent. It's got to be 100% opaque. There we go. And this guy is going to be black. Let's see. Let's go to there we go. All right, let's see. Now this guy here, let's go edit undo. Yeah. Ugh. What happened is, okay, there. So what happened is this. What happened is this guy here has to be the only thing selected. I had the art selected. That's got to be selected. This has got to be white. Let's go to white. This has got to be black. Got to be black. Yeah, and it probably can, let's see if we make it. I'm going to start off by making it like this. And this white can't be zero opacity. It's got to be 100% opaque or 100%, yeah, so like that. All right, so now we've got black and we got white. Now I can move this thing over in front of this thing. And let's see if I select both of them. And let's go make opacity mask. Okay, so now it's starting to look right. There. The only thing is, it's not quite strong enough. So I'm going to select it. Select this. This is where we start playing around with this slider. Okay. You see how the white is bringing it back? I don't know why, but for some reason it's not. This isn't total. This isn't correctly black, I don't think. It has to be black. It is black. It's not completely hiding it though. Gee, that's funny. That's really unfortunate. That's funny. Well, I don't know why, but for some reason, this thing just doesn't seem to want to work. Let me just see if I click on that guy. Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm just not getting this thing to go completely transparent. This isn't working right for some strange reason. Let me try it with another. Let me try it with another shape. Delete that. Oh God! How? All right. There we go. Okay, so let me get rid of that thing. Delete it. Okay, let me try it one more time with my own shape. Because again, it could be something with the shape. I'm going to come in here and let me zoom in on this thing, get a little bit closer. And I'm going to create a rectangular shape. See if I can do it with my own. Maybe I'll have more luck. I don't know. It should make it completely opaque. All right, so there we have this. But I don't want that look. I want this thing to be white 100%. And I don't want this at all. I want that to be black. Let's see, maybe that will do it. Let me see. Make it black. There. And let me make that black. There we go. Okay, so I got good and black. Now let's see what happens if I go now and go make opacity mask. Invert it. Oh, you know what? I did it again. I have to select both the objects. Hold on. Let me select both the objects. There we go. Now we'll go make opacity mask. There we go. It's still for some odd reason. See, now that black is really knocking it out good, but for some reason this black isn't. So it's not right. That's not the right black. I don't know why that's not 100% black. It is the right black though. I don't really understand why that's happening. See how that's erased it? Really good. But it hasn't erased it at the top. Anyway, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. View artboard and window. Let me try it with something else. Let me try it with another one. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to actually make this thing disappear. That's the right way to do it, except for some strange reason, the black is just not working up there. And it should. It should knock this out completely. Let me just get this out of the way. All right, let me try it again over here. Let me try it one more time with this. All right, so once again, and I don't know, maybe this might have something to do with it. Let me just go to default black and white and change it to black and white and remove that. There we go. Okay, so now we have that. So what I'm going to do is, since I have the gradient here, I'm going to drag black over here. Okay, see, and I get all this white. So I don't want this. And let's get that out and make it white. And then let's make that 100%. There we go. And why is this not? Oh, man. Oh, boy, I'm telling you, I'm not having any luck tonight. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Now, why is that? It's not even, this isn't even letting me put the gradient in it. Come on. Oh, it's because it's on the stroke. Jeez. Wow. Huh. Okay, so there it is. I got it now. Let's see if I can make this happen now. So I got it in there, and it has a stroke of black. I want that gone. It's got a fill. All right. So now it's going to be linear, and I want it to be, I think I want it to be 90. Let's see if that works. Let's go to transparency. Let's go to make opacity mask. And it doesn't. Oh, you know why? Oh, I did it again. I haven't got both of them selected. Oh, wow, too much. There we go. Now let's see if this works. There. Okay, it's still showing it a little bit. I don't know why that's doing that. It shouldn't be doing that. This should really be completely knocked out. I mean, you shouldn't see anything up there. So I don't know why that's happening. I'm sure if I did this in another situation, I'm sure this would work. But anyway, what I'm trying to show you is what he did was he made these white things, and that's not the right way to do it. This is actually the right way to do it. And even though it's not working out very well for me tonight on this particular piece, which I can't explain why, that is the right way to do it. And it will come out the same, except that what would happen in the end is this would be just transparent. And you wouldn't, if you had a background color, see how that blends in? This would blend in. But of course, it's giving me some measure of trouble here, so I'm not really sure just why that's happening. But at any rate, it is happening. And, you know, I'm trying to figure out what to do to deal with it. Let's see if I can. There we go. Okay, so you see what I'm doing? I'm dragging the white down. There you go. Okay, so you see what I'm trying to do? Let's see if I can fix the other one now. Click on this. Let's get it selected. Oh, now why is it locked? What is going on with this thing? What is going on? Oh, I know what it is. I have transparency. I have to get out. There we go. All right, now let's go. Select that. All right, now let's see here. What I want to do with this is I want to get the gradient tool, and I want to see if I can. There we go. Now, if I drag this down. Yeah, see, I'm not exactly sure why that is not. That simply is, for some reason, this one does not want to go black. I just don't know why that is. This does not want to go black. Well, anyway, you see over here. You see over here, it does work, and that's the way to do it. I don't know what's going on with this one exactly. I think it has something to do with the color. But at any rate, that is what I'm trying to do. I'm making an opacity mask. And basically all it is, if I were to do it on this shape right here, again, just so that you see me do it and do it right, you make yourself a shape which you put a gradient in, all right? And you put gradient in the thing like that, and you change the angle of the gradient to where it's, where are we at here? The gradient's right there. Let's say it's 90. Yeah. And then you come over to your opacity mask, make it an opacity mask, okay? And then what you're going to do is, oh, you know what? Again, jeez. I have to remember to select both of my objects. Now make opacity mask. There we go. Okay, so you see what's happening? If I want the top, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my gradient tool, and I'm going to increase the white. All right, increase the white, but take the white and bring in the white further down. And you see how what it's doing is it's actually making more of that come about. And this, I don't know what the deal is with that. There you go. Okay, now I got rid of that one. You see how it is now? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for, a complete drop-off. That's what happened here. That's what you did. So that's what I do. So what it is that one black was bad. It wasn't black. It was something slightly lighter than black. That's what was causing the problem. But there's your opacity mask. There's what he should be doing to fix this. Those two right there, that one right there, that one right there, they should all be fixed that way. And again, as I say, it isn't a big deal, but these are techniques that you need to know about. Now I'm gonna get rid of this. Let's go to release opacity mask, and let me just get rid of this piece, because then I want to talk to you a little bit about how he made these things. Okay, so here is this nice piece of toaster, piece of bread that he made, really cute. And the important thing to understand about this whole process is that when you do this, always try to do things the simplest way you possibly can. You know, when you go in there, you know, make one piece of bread and use the piece of bread for every one of the steps that you see here. And even when he made his his peanut butter look and jelly look on here, he made one of them. You know what I mean? And he's using one of them. And then he's using this one, okay? And so here's the other thing that I wanted to show you was that how did he get these angular shapes? Well, what he did with these angular shapes is he used the 3D. So what I would do is select this guy and go Effect, 3D. And last night I was showing you 3D Revolve. But in this case, I'm going to show you 3D Extrude and Bevel. And I'm going to hit Preview. And there's my Extrude and Bevel. And you get this gigantic Extrude and Bevel dialog box. That's the real problem with this. You know what? Oh, man. No, I did. I'm good. What you're doing here is largely the same thing as what you did. See, the problem is I'm trying to get this located in a place where I can get at everything. Okay, so what we can do with this, here's your toast. What you can do with this is you can change the angle by rotating this guy. You can just turn this thing around, okay? And, you know, you're going to have to adjust lights and all. That's one thing. But what he's doing is he's basically adjusting this thing. Or you can use these things. If you like these things, you can also tilt this thing this way by using these little rotation devices. Here's another one. See, and it just rotates this guy around. It gives you three-dimensional. It's very cool. And this is one of the things that we're going to be using in weeks 3 and actually week 4 to create our boxes. There's See, and I mean, you can make this any, and the thing that you want to understand about this, here's what you want to understand about this. This is a cube, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, okay? The blue side represents the front side. So wherever that blue side is where the front side is. So it depends on what you want to do with this shape. You would take this shape and you would rotate the shape around. This is kind of the way I do it. I just kind of tweak this thing and get this shape, getting it in the direction that I'm looking for it to go in. And I keep working it and working it and working it until I get it where I want it. And he, as you can see, and I see that's probably fairly close to what he's got. Now it's actually, I need to go a little bit more radical because he's got it like this. A little bit more. Straighten it out a little bit. That's close, but I think we want to go a little bit more. That might be pretty good. That might be pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Now, the other thing that he might have done is he might have added some perspective on this. Let's see. You see how that perspective begins to shape that thing differently? Yeah, that's what he did, perspective. There it is, a little bit of perspective. And you can see how it's giving it that nice angular appearance. Now, the other thing is, when you're doing this, you'll notice that the light source can move as well. And see, what you can do is you can bring the light source around till it's sitting in the front of this thing. See? And now you've got something that is a little more like this. And I think what he did was, I think he added a second light. I think he came in here and added a second light, because what he wanted was, he wanted that to be a little bit brighter in color. So I think he added a second light. And yeah, although I don't think it's quite as low as that, I think it's probably maybe like that, okay? So these are pretty small, but basically now what I've done, and I'm gonna hit okay for 1 minute, so you can see what I did here, hit okay. So what I've done is, I've created one of these guys. I'm gonna go edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then I'm just gonna use my arrow key to move it back a little bit. And actually, I should have pasted it back. I'm gonna go Object, Arrange, Send to Back, okay? And actually, I need to move it out a little bit more. Something like that is probably good. There, you see? And again, I'm trying to make it look like his, see? So, and then I would take both of these guys, and I would go edit, copy, edit, paste him back. Can I do that? Yeah, paste him back. And then I'm going to move them, let them swing over. Yeah, there you go. Now that's more or less what he has right there. Then what we would do is we would take one of these guys here, and let's go edit, copy again, copy, and let's go edit, paste in place. All right, and let me move this out a little bit. And now what we're going to try to do, or what I'm going to try to do, is I'm going to see if I can get this thing to lay down like that one. So remember what I told you, when you're working with 3D Revolve, 3D extrusion, you don't go back to the effect, and you don't go apply Extrude and Bevel or Extrude and Bevel. You don't do that. What you do is you go back to your history panel. You go to Window, and you go to History. I'm sorry, Appearance, not History. That's Photoshop. Appearance, and you double-click on 3D Extrude and Bevel. Then what you want to do is you want to take, I have my reference right there. What you want to do is you want to start rotating this thing around. And I'm sorry, I have to preview it. There we go, preview it. See, I'm turning it way around. Yeah, Keep going, keep turning it around. Eventually you'll get it there. Now, this takes a great deal of energy, processing energy, RAM. So it can be a little bit tricky to do this. But anyway, what I'm doing is I'm slowly getting this thing in the position that I want. And then I'm just going to rotate it this way. I'm just trying to work it around until it gets to where it looks like that other piece of bread. And that's fairly close. I think I went a little too far with it and a little bit down. Got to go down a little bit. I'm visualizing it. I'm just visualizing what he did. That looks pretty close. You know what? I think I'm just going to turn it a bit more. I think I went too far with it. No, actually, I think I can live with that. All right, so then what I would do with this is I would make sure that my light would be above, okay? And I would probably bring it down a little bit and get it to where that's probably pretty good. See what I'm doing? I'm trying to match his. So what I do now is I hit OK. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to move this guy down into position like this. And I think he's got it over a bit. I think that's probably, and again, I'm not going to try to match it exactly. I'm trying to give you a general idea. Edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and move it up. There. Now you've got pretty much what you see there, okay? That's how he did it. And the biggest problem that you face in doing this is creating the actual slice of bread, which he did beautifully. Now, you know, over here, what he's doing is he's doing something similar where he's creating a knife and he's actually just rotating the knife around and he's putting some of the product on it. And all he's doing is using his pen tool to create that line of peanut butter, and he's created a second line underneath it of peanut butter. And, you know, he's making a couple of, he makes himself a couple of plates. There's his plate. Okay, so what he's doing with his plate essentially is the same thing. If I come over to the appearance panel, where are you? Where did the appearance panel go? Window, appearance. I shut it, no wonder. And I'm not seeing that in the appearance panel. See if it's ungroup object, ungroup. How was that done? Let's see here. Yeah, 3D extrude and bevel. Okay, that's what he did. He actually took that thing and just extruded it. See, that's the original. And what he did was he changed the direction of it so that it was in that particular shape right there. That's what he did. And he did, there's a second plate for the inside of the plate that he did the same way. That's really what it is. It's right there, extrude and bevel. So that's how he's doing it. And, you know, this is just basically a blob of color for the jam with those two underneath it. And then what he's doing actually, in this particular case, is he's actually, you see how he's got these shapes? You see my shape right there? Watch this. I'll show you what he's doing. He's got that, and it's all grouped together. So let's go Object, Ungroup. And let's see if I can get this so I can show you what he's doing here. There is one. Whoops, I got that one. That's the one I want right there. Okay, now let's go to Appearance. Did I do it again? Oh, damn. Window, Appearance. I shut it again. Okay, 3D Extrude and Bevel. I delete it, or I hide it, and take a look. You see what it did? Look. See what he did? He cut it in half. He cut his piece of bread in half. So basically, it's the exact same thing as what's happening here, except that he cut his shape into two pieces. That's what he did. And he did that probably, I'm guessing he probably did that with the scissors tool. You can come in here and you can click on and cut a shape like I just did right there with the scissors tool. And it cleanly cuts the shape. That's really what he did. See it? That's really how he did this. And I mean, I think he probably had a tremendous, let's go to the view, fit all in window. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's how he did that. And there's again, you can see he's cut this one too. See, he's cut that one too. And he's grouped them all together at the end so that they all stay together, you know? So that's what he did. And then, of course, he's added little touches like little looped arrows and little pointing arrows so that you kind of, you know, you're going to cut down and then across, that kind of thing. He did, as I say, he did a really cute job with this, did a really nice job with this. And it's not that difficult. So I'm trying to show you a little bit about how he did this. I did not build this. So what you have to understand is it was hard for me on some level because it's not something that I myself made. Somebody else made this thing. So, you know, I have to kind of figure out what he did. And I never really took this thing apart before. I only got this thing from him the day before yesterday, and I didn't really have that much of a chance to go over it and see what was happening. I pretty much know what he did and how he did it. But again, you know, I didn't know what was grouped and what wasn't grouped. But you can see it worked out pretty nice, and that's how he did it. So I'm saying that this is something along the lines of what you're going to produce. The background color I added to that. It has nothing to do with his original design. Don't want you to get the wrong idea. I just put that in there so that I could kind of see what's going on with this. This is what his piece really looked like. And as I say, he did a pretty good job. There was a couple of things that I would have done, like this guy right here. I would have done it the way that I did it, okay, instead of having these white things there. This one here, I know what the problem is with that. That's that black. Once you get rid of that black, it'll do that, and then that will look right too. And if I were to do these, I would go do it the same way. And again, he made one really good knife blade right there. There's his knife blade. He didn't have to extrude it or anything. He didn't have to extrude it, okay? But he made one little knife blade, and then he's just used the knife blade in different locations. Takes that knife blade over here, and then for this knife blade here, how he changed that, I suspect, let me see what he did. It's actually not really that different. It looks like it might have, see, it's all grouped together. Let's go edit, undo, move. Object, ungroup. Let's see if he did anything with that, really. So what he might have done, this is what he might have done with that. That one, it looks like what he did was this. He just actually squished it in a bit. And that's what I think he did. He squished it in just a tiny bit to make it. See how that looks? And I think he also made it a little bit longer, it looks like. And again, I'm just going by what I'm seeing here. That's what I think I'm seeing. And then, of course, if you rotate this thing around, it should end up looking like that knife. Yeah, it does. See? So really, what I like, and I think maybe I'm not even right. Maybe he didn't even stretch it. Yeah, he did actually. He did. I was right. He did stretch a little bit. He stretched it just a bit, and he squished it a little bit. So when you have the knife sideways like this, it looks like that. And when you have the knife in a cutting position, like you're showing how it's cutting this thing, it looks like that. And then what he did here is, I guess, he used his paintbrush, the little paintbrush that I have up here, and he probably just painted that little blitty blob of jelly onto the blade edge, okay, so that he had his blades working. And then, of course, this was probably painted in. This is just paint. See, if I take that away, that's just some paint from the paintbrush in a peanut butter color. So that's how he's doing it. View, fit, artboard, and window. And like I say, he did a really beautiful job with this. I mean, it's really a nice job. So what you're going to be doing is something similar to this. You can do whatever you want to do. Pick one of your topics and do something just like this, and I will be happy as a clam if you do. All right, so that's that, and I think I'm going to move on. Save it. No, but you know what? Actually, no, I don't. Let me do this. You know what? Cancel. Actually, I think I want to do this. Let me go cut. Edit. Cut. Okay. Now let's file. Revert. All right, and then I'm going to take this, move this over here. and edit paste. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Only pasted it over here. I wanted it over there. Okay, and this, for some reason, that got stuck in there as well. It doesn't, it belongs over here. I don't even know what that's for. I think that's that thing that I pulled out of there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna file close and save it, yeah. All right, so now, since what we're doing is we're taking a look, basically we're taking a look at different things that we can do with basic shapes, pens, and the different add anchor points, delete anchor points, and convert anchor points, stuff like that. What I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to continue sort of showing you more about some of the things that you can do to create a more three-dimensional object, because that's kind of the things that we're going to be dealing with here in this program, or in this 4-week, is how to make something that's really two-dimensional, three-dimensional. So I'm going to go back to the 3D Revolve for a minute, and what I did was I started off by putting everything in line view, so that you could actually be a little bit amazed when we turn the thing back on. So I'll go to the View menu, and I'm going to go to GPU Preview. And in a minute, it will come back. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, so here's a series of pieces of candy that I created. This was the actual product. This is what the actual product looked like. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to make a really sexy looking, hot looking representation, graphic representation of the candy. I wanted something that had sort of a style to it, but it was semi-realistic. So what I did essentially was I created a series of shapes. And these shapes, like here's one of the shapes. Let me click on this guy right here, okay? And let me go to Window, Appearance, and I'll show you what I did with this. There's the 3D Revolve. That's what these are. These are 3D Revolve. And if you can see this, I'm just going to click the eyeball to hide that. And that is the 3D Revolve right there. That's the 3D Revolve object. And it's essentially a half or a profile of the object. That's really what it is. And then, of course, put it back on. I have to keep it selected, put it back on, and you get that. Now, one thing that you need to understand about this is that I gave the stroke that color. There's the stroke color. That's where the color is coming from, okay? The color is coming from that stroke. You don't really see the fill. The fill can be nothing, actually. If I wanted to, I could make that fill nothing, and it would not impact. Well, actually, I wonder why I did that. That's really strange. That's funny. You know what? Let me go File, Open, and let me go to Week 1, and let me go to Varda, and let me open up Candy 1. Here's Candy 1. So this is Candy 1. This is what I initially did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. So I'll show you how I did this. Make a duplicate of it. Oh, come on. There we go. There. So I got a duplicate of this guy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the Revolve away. There. So now the Revolve is gone, okay? And I don't think I need this white. I don't know why I got the white in there, but I'm going to remove that white. I don't think I need the white. I think it can be just the brown. Now, this is the brown color that I chose. It's that. It's kind of like a dark, semi-sweet chocolate, where these are the more sweeter chocolates. So I got that brown, and I also have, this is something that you need to understand, this swirling that I have at the top of that thing. What that is, essentially, it's part of the candy itself. If you look at the candy, where is it? It's the one I'm looking at. Let me go File and Place. And let's go to Save. And let me click on, you know what, actually, let me click on that. And let's go Place. There, and we'll put that in here. There we go. So now you got a picture of the candy. So you see what I'm doing. There it is. Now here's the deal. The deal with this is that I'm going to select that guy, and I'm going to. Oh, and I was explaining to you that this swirling that I have here is right here. Take a look. This is the actual. It's called light swirl, and what it is. All I did was I created this little swirling shape, and you can actually come in here. Let's see, where is it? The swirls are where? I think it's, let me see. Yeah, here we go. No, flare tool, swirl tool. Where is the swirl tool? Is it here? I don't use it very often. Let me see if this line is in here. There it is, right there, the spiral tool. So what I did essentially was I just created with that spiral tool that little brownish, light brownish. It's actually almost a chocolatey, white chocolatey, maybe not quite white chocolatey, but close enough to white chocolatey color. And it's a swirl that goes on top of that piece of candy. So let's go back. And what I did was I selected my little guy here, my little profile of my chunk of candy. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go Effect, 3D, and again, Revolve. I'm just going to revolve this guy, hit Preview. These panels are huge. Hit Preview, okay? And now I get this. And what I can do is a couple of things. I can add lights to this. So I think I want to add a light up at the top like that. And I think what I want to do with this is I want to see if I can make it a little bit brighter. I'm not getting my highlight size. Here we go. There we go. I think I want it over this way some. That's where I got it, right about there. Whoops. So you got highlight. Look, this thing wants to catch me. Doesn't want to let go. There we go. Okay, now all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to come in here. If I want, I can create other lights. And I think I might have actually created a couple of lights here. There's a couple of things I might have done. It's been a while since I did this, but I'm going to create a new light. And yeah, there's the new light. And I think this light goes like that. Okay, and I think that one comes down in highlight size. I think I bring that down. But see, it's affecting both of them. That's unfortunately the problem. Unfortunately hitting both of them. So let's see, I think what I did, all right, so there's another way that I could do this. That's probably pretty good like that. And I'm gonna go to Map Art, and I have my surfaces. Remember, you have surfaces, and there are 6 surfaces on this particular piece. So you're just going to go and click through the different surfaces until you find the surface that you want, which is, I think that should do it right there. That's the top surface. So at that point, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get my light swirl, and it's going to put that light swirl on it. Then what you got to do is you got to play with the light swirl, and you got to get it to sit where you want it to sit. And I want it to sit on the peak. So I got to get this thing about where I want it first. That's the first thing. Get it to about where you want it, which is like that. And then you got to distort it some. Okay, see what I'm doing? I'm distorting it some. There we go. There we go. A little bit more. And there we go. Oh, hi, Carolyn. How are you? Hello? Are you there? Carolyn, are you okay? Can you hear me? Hello? There. And there I've mapped this art onto this piece. And there I've created that, or recreated that candy. Now that candy looks a little bit shorter. It should be a little bit bigger. So if I want to make that a little bit bigger, I just go back to map art, and I can, you know, I told you before, when you do this, you got to remember that when you go to the map art, or when you go to the, yeah, that's right. Make this a little bit bigger.
Sorry, can you hear me now, Mr. Sweeney?
Yep, I sure can.
I had to plug my headset in. Sorry.
That's absolutely fine. I was just talking about the assignment. As a matter of fact, I was having some trouble with it too. The assessment, not the assignment. Now I'm kind of talking generally about different things that relate to what we're going to be doing in this this 4 weeks. I'm showing you some different stuff. Some of the stuff that we're working with now is we're working with things like some basic shapes, but mostly pen tool. And then from that point out, just doing some different things that would help to make your artwork more unique and give you a wider scope on what you're able to do.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So basically that's what I'm doing right now is I'm demonstrating some of the 3D stuff on some objects that I've created. And before this, just before you came in, I demonstrated the assessment, which I don't have open anymore, but I'll go back to the assessment, which is this: making a peanut butter jelly sandwich, light bulb, tying a necktie, so on and so forth. One of my students was kind enough to send me his making of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I only got it like yesterday, and I wasn't able to actually sit down and play with it a lot. So when I took it in and I started playing with it, it had been a long time since I saw it, and I kind of forgot a little bit about how he did what he did. And I had some trouble with a couple of things, but I finally got everything worked out, and I demonstrated a good bit of what he had done to create his. Not that I necessarily want you to copy it.
Right.
But I was hoping by demonstrating it and showing what I know about what he did and giving you some ideas as to how you might approach what you do, it will make it more fun and easy for you. And hopefully, again, because I don't know you and I don't know the other student, I don't know what you know. You know, it's awfully difficult to be an instructor and not know what you know, you know.
Right.
So I could be talking about stuff that you know very well, or I could be talking about stuff that you know nothing about. And I have no way of really knowing that until we actually converse in a classroom.
Right. Well, I'll go back and watch the video from the beginning. You know, tomorrow.
Just bear in mind that I did a lot of stammering and bumping around on it because the thing was I haven't seen it in a while, and I didn't get a chance to really go over the thing before I brought it in. But it ultimately worked out, and the things that I was trying to show you, even though I stumbled with it a little bit, in the end I did work it out, and I got it to where they worked, and I do understand what was going on, and I think you will too, you know.
Okay.
So if you have any problems, though, you know, I am in Blackboard tomorrow night. You can come in. And what I'm now showing is I'm just showing some of the different stuff. Do you know anything at all about the 3D filters yet?
No.
Okay, well, that's good because I've been showing a lot of 3D filters.
I haven't even got to watch last night's lecture yet. I've been busy all day today, so.
Well, I hope that you grow to love Illustrator as much as I do. Illustrator.
I already love Illustrator, but I don't have any of the advanced stuff yet, like knowing about the filters and all that. I haven't done anything with that yet.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of going over stuff like that, and I'm kind of doing things that, like right now, I'm showing how I made some candy. This is how I actually made some candy. This is some candy that I created using the 3D filters. So, you know, I mean, I'm trying to show how one of the things that you're going to do in week 4 of this course is you're going to create a package, a CD package. So, I just in the last bit of my lesson earlier on, when I was showing you how to make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I demonstrated how my student, Eric Scott, made his bread. He actually rendered a piece of bread beautifully in Illustrator, did a great job. And he made it 3D so that he could stack the bread up and he could lay one of the bread pieces down. So I demonstrated how he did that. I actually went into 3D and I showed you how he went and he did that. And I'm going to be doing that kind of thing for the next 4 weeks. Hopefully by the time you get to week 4, you should have an absolutely crystal clear idea of how this gets done. When I tell you it's not that difficult, I mean it. It really is not that difficult. The only reason it's difficult is you don't know how to do it. You haven't had anybody expose you to it. But once you get exposed to it the right way, you'll find that not only is it not that difficult to do, considering it's a tough thing to do anyway, but it's actually very much fun to do and creative, and you can do a lot with it. Can't do everything with it.
Right.
It is not a 3D program, but you can do quite a bit with it. So I'm actually showing how I made this first piece of candy. And so I just finished rendering this thing. So what I'm going to do for you is go back into 3D real quick, and I'll reapply this. And I just want to show you that, you know, I can take this thing now and I can revolve this thing around. Look, I can make that thing go in any direction that I want.
Right.
And it's 3D, you know?
Yeah,
it's actually
really cool.
and it looks pretty cool. It looks very much like a piece of candy. I'm going to hit cancel because there's something else I want to show you here. All right, so now if you take a look at this, and this relates to what I was doing before. Let me move this out of the way, and let me move this out of the way, and let me move this over. All right, this is, you see what I have here? I have this nice purple background, but can you see how I got the reflection of the candy in the background like that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, just before I was stumbling all over the place because I was trying to show Eric how he could have done something better. And for some reason, I was having a lot of trouble with it because one of the colors wasn't going black. Even though it said black, it wasn't going black. And I finally had to tear the color out, and then it started working. So I actually did figure out what was going on, but it took me a minute. So anyway, to get back to what I'm doing here, this is I'll show you real quickly. That is a profile. When you do a 3D revolve, you do a profile. Now, I'm going to bring the other candy out in a minute, and I'm going to show you how I did that other candy, okay, because it's a slightly different profile. And what I did last night in our lesson was I showed you how to render a very realistic Sharpie, an amazingly realistic Sharpie. Because one of the things that you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be taking an object and you're supposed to be drawing it in Illustrator. That's your assignment for week 1. You're supposed to take something, a photograph of something or something, and try to render it very realistically and in more than one direction. That's why I was trying to show you that with the 3D filters, Extrude and Bevel and Rotate, that if you knew how to do it, that would be a possible way that you could do it. And I made a very realistic Sharpie pen and demonstrated how I did it.
Right.
So
I'm going to be watching all that tomorrow, so.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a profile. And a profile is just a color on a stroke with no fill. You don't even need a fill on this. Because what this is going to do is it's going to go into 3D Revolve. And when you turn it back on, it revolves it in 3 dimensions. So now this thing is a 3-dimensional object. That's why I could go back into 3D and I could, turn it around and do all this stuff. The problem with this now, though, is, and I demonstrated this last night on my pen, if I try to rotate this thing, watch.
It don't do it?
Yeah. See how it goes all out of whack?
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't rotate very well once it's, but there's a way to deal with that. Let's go edit, undo. There's a way to deal with that. Now I have 2 of these guys. I got this guy here and I got this guy here. They're close enough to the same.
Right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to go to the object menu and I'm going to go to expand appearance. What I'm doing now, just so that you understand, is I'm taking a 3D object out of the realm of 3D and I'm expanding it into regular Illustrator vector form.
Right.
Okay? Watch. Now, you see how that has become something. Look, you see how the selection is different on that than it is on that?
Yep.
Okay. Now, this guy here, I can rotate this thing. See what I mean?
Yep.
Okay. So now what I can do, I can bring this up here. And let me just see if I can rotate it straight. All right, so there is my my rotated version. I'm going to bring this in the front. Object, arrange, bring to front. There. Now my candy's sitting in front, and my rotating object, which isn't quite rotated right yet. Let me just get it a little bit more. I know I'm being very fussy about this, but that's how I am. There, I have my rotated object. So what I want to do is I want to make that look like a reflection. Okay?
Oh, yeah, I know how to do that. Lighten it up.
Well, no, actually, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take,
Okay.
I'm going to take a rectangular shape, and I'm going to make a rectangle a little bit bigger than the shape. And then what I'm going to do is cut it. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me put the gradient on it first. Let me go over and get the gradient on it first before I do that. Let me get this participation out of the way. All right, let me find the gradient. Where are you?
Yeah, sometimes I have problems, you know, with the Illustrator tools not being as easy as the Photoshop. You know what I mean?
Well, that's temporary. Believe me,
Right.
when I tell you, you will become very good at this. And as you become good at it and you come to really love the program, you're going to find that it's going to be amazing, the stuff that you can do with it.
Right. I have a picture up that I did in my first Illustrator class.
Mm-hmm. Where's that?
It's on my screen. I don't know if I can share it anyway or not.
Yeah. How about if you remind me just before we end?
Okay.
All right, because I got to get a couple of things I want to get through. But
Right.
yeah, I'd see it right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this, right? Edit, cut. Edit. Edit, cut. There we go. Now I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go edit, paste in front. There. So now I have this gradient thing here, pasted right in front of the upside down candy, right?
Right.
I'm going to select both of them. See, got them both selected.
Right.
I'm going to go to transparency, the transparency panel. There are all these really good panels in here, and what I'm trying to show you in this 4-week course are some of the panels, a few of the panels I'm going to be dealing with, okay, and talking about and getting you familiar with so that you'll know what they're used for. And like, for instance, transparency, appearance, layers, all these panels I'm going to be, and symbols panel, all these panels I'm going to be talking to you about over the next 4 weeks, hoping to get you familiar enough with them that you will be able to know exactly what they're there for and begin to use them. All these are things that you need to use. You don't need to use them every single time you come into Illustrator, but as you work on things, you will find that you're going to be bouncing from panel to panel to panel to panel to panel, and you're going to be bouncing with different tools, and you're going to see different, you know, menu items and stuff depending upon what you're doing. And it all comes into play because you become familiar with the stuff, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's really all it is. So what I'm going to do is let me go to I want to get my gradient, and I'm sorry, transparency. So in transparency, I don't know how much you know about transparency, but we have blend modes. Are you familiar with blend modes at all?
Just a little bit.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about blend modes continually. Blend modes give us the ability to take elements and blend them into other elements. We can make them transparent, translucent, and merge them visually with other things beneath them by virtue of some kind of color arrangement, okay?
Right.
All right, so, and we also have the opacity slider, which means we can drag the opacity slider to make something partially opaque.
Right. And see, I've never heard the blending described like that, so that puts it in a better perspective, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to be working with it a number of times before the end of the 4 weeks, so I'll try to remember each time to talk about it a little bit as I do it. But right now, what I'm doing, just so that you understand, I have this candy that's behind this panel, which has a gradient on it, and the gradient goes from black to white. And I'm going to come to the transparency panel, and I'm going to make what's called an opacity mask. So if I click make opacity mask, what happens is it's got to be inverted, okay? What it does is essentially it makes my background image partially transparent.
Right.
Okay, so see what I've done so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I have this is my piece of art. This is the transparency panel now. There's my piece of art, and it's linked to that gradient. That's what's making this partially transparent, is that right there.
Right.
Together. So I can click on this one and I get that blue line, or I can click on this. Now watch what happens here when I click on this. See, that gives me the ability to edit it, because I'm now working on the mask. I am not touching that piece of art beneath the mask.
Right.
I'm touching the mask. And what I want to do is, see, it's already starting to look nicely. See how it's nicely transparent?
Yeah.
But it's still a little bit too strong. So I can do this a couple of ways. First of all, the black is what's making things stronger. So if I drag the black this way, you see what it does? It increases the strength here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is not exactly what I think I want to do. So I'm going to bring it back to about there. And maybe I want to come in a little bit, though, because I kind of do like it a little bit dark. That's probably good. Maybe that's a little too much. But then the next thing is I got the white. Now, the white is going to make it transparent. So what I want to do with this is I want to start gradually just easing this over like that. That's the first thing that I want to do. So I want to ease it over. And depending upon how I want this to go, see, if you want to see how I'm doing that, I'm trying to make it transparent.
Right.
And I just drag this over, and I'm making it more and more transparent. And if I want to get rid of that little bit at the bottom, I just keep easing that over. And you know what? I'm almost where I want it to be.
Oh, it looks good.
There's my reflection.
Yep.
Okay, now here's the trick. This is the thing that you need to really see. So there's your reflection.
Very
So
cool.
I got this purple background, right? So let me go over here, and let me just make a purple background for this. All right, and let's go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. It's going to go all the way to the back, and I'm going to click here and make it purple. And, oh, you know why? Oh, Edit, Undo. Hold on, Edit, Undo. No, I got to actually get out of here. No, this is not right. Hold on. Let's delete that. All right, let's get back to there we go. I got to get back to that. Okay, now I can make my background. Okay, so this is just going to be purple. There we go. Object, Arrange, Send to Back. There. Okay, now you see, can you
Very cool.
Yeah. Now here's the thing that you have to understand about this. The reason that this thing already looks like a reflection is because it was made by making a transparency map.
Right.
Okay, and the transparency map already factors in transparency. So if I were to do it some other way, like if I was going to come in here, and let's say, for instance, I was going to, I don't know, make something that looks like this. Let's say I was going to go do something like this for a shadow. This is not right at all, but you'll get the idea what I'm talking about in a minute. I'm going to bring this up like that, and bring this over like that, and bring this down like that. It's not even going to look good, but you'll get the idea. All right, so let me just take this guy and move it out of the way. And let me take this guy and let's move that out of the way. Okay, and let's go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And let's make that, oop, I didn't, all right, let's go Edit, Cut. And, wrong one. Edit, Undo. There we go, I want that. Edit, Cut. Edit, Paste, and Back. There. All right. So let's, instead of making that purple now, let's make that black and white. And make it black. And let's remove that. So now I got this black dot there, which is supposed to be a shadow, right?
Right.
Right. So, and it really is just for the sake of argument, really. So now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to move that back in position and see what you got.
Yep.
Now, if I go to the Effect menu, and if I go to Stylized, and if I go to Feather, you know what feather means?
Yeah.
It means that you're going to soften the edges on it.
Right.
See what I'm doing? And if I increase the feather ratio, I'll get that kind of a thing like that. Hit OK. And then if I want, I can go to Effect, Blur. And if I go to Gaussian Blur and preview that, you see what it's doing? It's further softening that up.
Right.
And hit OK. And now if I come in here, this transparency is set to normal. If I come over here and I drag the opacity down, see what it's doing?
Yeah.
It's giving me a lighter shadow.
Right.
Now, it's similar but one of the things that you do is you'd also set this to multiply, because the multiply would work even better with it. But this is another way that you can create a drop shadow on something. And then, of course, if you wanted, you might even be able to use it in conjunction with that. This thing, I think you'd have to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I don't know whether, you know, I probably think that's a little bit more natural.
Right.
But anyway, there are a couple of ways that you can make shadows for things. And one of the most important things to worry about or to think about when you're dealing with Adobe Illustrator is that nobody says you can't make multiple objects. When you create things, you can create many objects to,
Right.
you know. So there's my piece of candy, and I'm going to close this one, all right? And David, no. And I'm going to go File, Open, and I'm going to open my other piece of candy. I want you to see this. Candy 2, I think that's it. Yes, it is. So there's my candy 2. Okay, this is a piece of candy, and this is the profile for that. Now, what you have to understand is there's two pieces to this. There's the top part of the candy, and then there's the bottom shell. This is filled. It's a filled candy. And there's two pieces to this. There's the two pieces. But they still are profiles. And notice they don't close. I don't have to close them. I just have to make them about half the, see, it's about half the distance, and the rest of it gets made by the program. Okay?
Yep.
So let's go Edit, Undo, and I'll move that back up. So fairly clear what I'm doing so far, right?
Yes.
All right, let me bring that down a little bit, and let's go to, let's find my appearance. I think I put back again, you did. Okay, so there's my appearance. I'm going to move the appearance down here so I can find it. This is my appearance right there. All right, so what I do is I select these two. Oh, and by the way, that swirl, if you take a look in the symbols panel, there's your same swirl. Now, again, have you ever made a symbol before?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Okay, so how you make a symbol is essentially you'll come in here, and I don't know, let's see, where was that? There's my twirl. So let me make a twirl. So I make a twirl, okay? And this is a dark chocolate twirl. So let me make this a really dark. Oh, you know what? Oh, wait a minute. I got just the thing, I think. Yeah, I do. There we go. Let's see if that is it. That's a darker color. What would that be? That would be the top color. So that would be that color. And you know what? Let me see if I can even make this a dark color. Let's go to HSB. Yeah, let's make it darker. Make it a darker brown. You like that brown? That looks pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Actually, let's go.
Yeah, that's really dark.
Yeah, but I think, does it suddenly go green or something? Am I nuts? Does that look green to you?
Yeah, a little. Maybe it's...
I wonder if it's got to go to the, yeah, see, that red goes too much. There we go. A little more. It goes green. I don't like that. All right, I think that's still brown. Hit OK. So that should be that color right there. But let's do this. Before we go any further, I come over here and I drag this out right next to it. So there is my white. See my little white symbol?
Yep. Sorry, I was yawning.
That's perfectly fine. Two things are going on here. So the first thing is I'm going to create a heavier line stroke on this. So I'm going to go to the stroke panel. And first of all, this has got an end cap, which is a butt cap. Do you know what the difference is between, well, I mean, visually you can see the end of the cap actually cuts off square, and
Right.
it ends in the middle of the little anchor point.
Right.
This one here rounds off around it, which
Right.
is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to click on that one for this. Then what I want to do is I want to sort of match the weight of that. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think it's probably, that's probably good right there. Yeah, and then I want to come in here, I think, and I want to rotate it a little bit like that. Although I probably don't need to do this. I can, so it looks pretty close, doesn't it?
Yep.
And I'm going to go to the View menu, or I'm sorry, Effect, Stylized Drop Shadow. And let's add just a slight drop shadow to it like the other one has. It's way too much. So
Yep.
make it like 1. Let's make that 1, and let's make that.
Yeah, that's more like it. You can hardly see it because the color.
And actually, yeah, that'll be all right, I guess. And I want to make it lighter too. It's got to be much lighter. Let's bring it down to about 30. Oop. 30. Okay. Okay, so there I have that, all right? And what I'm going to do is to make a symbol. This is just a piece of art right now. This is a symbol, okay? You can tell you have a symbol when you look at the center of it, like on a normal object in the center or something. Let me show you the difference. If you have an ellipse tool, I'm going to make a circle. Look at the middle of that tool. See the little spot?
Yep.
That's the center point of that object. And many of these objects will have a center point. This even has a center point, believe it or not. You see that little dot there?
Yep.
Yeah. Watch this, though. And this has a center point. It doesn't. But this one here has a center point that has a cross on it. When you see that, you know you got a symbol. Now, you can edit the symbol by double-clicking on it, and you are about to edit the symbol, and now you can edit that symbol. I can change the color if I want. See what I mean?
Right.
Now I'm going to go edit undo because I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm just trying to show you. And then up here, you can go back out, all right? And you're no longer editing that symbol.
So why wouldn't you just copy the symbol and change the color to make it dark chocolate?
Because I want to show you how to make a symbol.
Okay, good.
You know, I mean, I could duplicate that symbol and change it. No,
No, you're right.
But I want to show you, I actually want to show you how to make a symbol. And so I just click, this is just a regular piece of art right now, right?
Right.
And you can, one of the things that you have to understand is that in the last week of the course, you're going to be creating a DVD box. And the DVD box is going to have a cover piece of art applied to it, a spine, and a back. And all three of those pieces of art will be a symbol that you're applying to an extruded box. Okay. So what I'm going to try to do over the course of the next 2 weeks before we get you to week 4 is I'm going to stuff you as full of this stuff as I can so that you feel really comfortable when you reach that point and be able to do it well. So here's what you do. This guy here, you just drag and you drop him in there. And it'll come up with the new symbol options box. And all you do is you're going to name the symbol. I'm going to call this dark. Simple, right? Yeah. And you have a choice. You can either export it as a movie clip or as a graphic. To be honest with you, I have never been able to determine if there's a real difference between the two. I think the movie clip is only it's kind of a leftover from Flash. They used to, you know, you'd be able to you'd send this out as a Flash object that could go right in Flash. But you could send the graphic object in the Flash as well. I just think it's a shortcut because the Flash object is already to go, whereas the graphic object you have to convert to a symbol. Okay,
right.
So, but in this case, I just always do this. I always click graphic, and then I hit OK, and there's my symbol in there.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. Now that, notice, look, see, it's got the little cross in the middle, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay, because it's no longer a graphic.
Right.
I can break the link to it if I want, but I'm mostly concerned that you understand how to make that symbol. So I'm going to delete these guys. And then what I'm going to do, all right, so again, this is basically a half of that piece of candy. That's
right.
what it is. And whenever you do something that's like this, you always do half of it, and you do the profile of it. When you go and take a look at the recording from last night, you're going to see where I'm basically preparing a pen, this Sharpie pen. And you'll be doing exactly the same thing where I'm working on profiles, just edges. I'm creating an actual perfect shape. And I even show you, I don't know how good you are with the pen tool, but I even went through some of the pen tool exercises that I use, some of the things that I use, explaining why I do what I do. You know, creating a curve point to a straight point. Are you kind of familiar with that at all?
Well, you know what? I need a lot of practice with it.
Yeah. Well, you'll see me in last night's lesson. You'll see me talking and doing some demonstrations.
I don't know how to, you know, I can handle a pen tool pretty good, but I don't have all that experience with all the tricks and all that stuff.
Well, what I try to do is as simple of things as I possibly can. I really do. I'm not trying to make things hard for you. I try to do things
Oh no, I know.
relatively simple. And
No, I want to learn how to do all those things. When I was
but
watching
even
the
so,
Linda Palm
but my
video,
point is, if I throw something extremely difficult at you, it's
right,
not going to help you learn quickly, because you're going to struggle a lot more with it. You'll be more
right,
frustrated, and you might, basically give up a lot easier. Whereas
right,
if it's more simple, and you pull it off, and you look at it and go, "Wow, I just did that. That's amazing."
right.
Because there are times when I'll render something and I'll look at it and I'll go, "Wow, it's amazing." And another thing that I did is I showed you my website. I went to my website and I showed you some of the 3D objects that I rendered in Illustrator for my website. So you'll see all that as well. All right, let me get back to this. So I select these two shapes and I go up to the effects menu again. And I go to 3D, and this time, not Extrude and Bevel, I go to Revolve. And I hit the preview button, and right away I get that thing revolved. Now, it looks a little different than this because I have different lighting sources. What I did was I moved the lighting source first up on the top. So you see how that looks like that?
Right.
And then what I did was I came in and I added another light. And that I think I brought down more like this. Yeah, that's probably about right there. See, that's pretty close. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So basically, you can put as many lights on here as you want. I can put on dozens and dozens of lights. I mean, I'll make this thing really light if I want. But
I always wondered how these people know where to put the lighting at.
well, you get the little spots, and then you can just drag the lighting wherever you want it to be. If you want it to be somewhere else, you drag it somewhere else. That actually looks pretty good. Might be a little bit stronger, though, than I want. And yeah, another thing that you can do, I actually like that pretty strong. Highlight, let's see, highlight intensity. I think this might kill both of them, though. No, it brings that one down. That's good. I want it to be a little less. I'm trying to make it look similar to that. So, and again, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. That's a little too much. Come back a bit. And the only reason I'm doing this is to give you an idea of how this all works. You see that little rectangular, or I mean the square cube up there? Are you there? This is what you use to move this thing around. I don't want to move it around because I'm actually going to show you how to map the art onto it. So this, now that I come in here, what happens is I get my surfaces, and for some odd reason, I don't know, I'm not seeing my surfaces. Here we go. There we go. Okay, there's my top surface. So I think it's my top surface. No, maybe it's not. Yeah, it's not. Okay, let me go back up. I guess that's a top surface. Let's see, is it that one? Let's see. Let's put on the dark. Yeah, that is the top one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this bigger. Make that bigger. And did I distort it a bit? I think I did, probably. Yeah. There. That's very similar. And I could even rotate this if I wanted to. I could rotate this around. Okay. And then if I wanted to, I can come in here and I can just change it to the light one. Okay. And then I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. And make that a little bit bigger. And hit OK. And hit OK. And there it is. I've actually duplicated that pretty close. It's pretty close to the original. That's all there is to it. I mean, this is like, in a way, very easy. So what I want to do next is, let me get out of here. Save it. No. And let's see, candy. I'm done with this candy. Let's get rid of that too. Save changes. No. All right. So here is my next one. This is blend and distort and transform. That's what I want to show you with this. So I'm going to go to the view menu and I'm going to bring it back to preview. And here are my pieces. These are my samples. These are the pieces that I made. This is for Yankee Candle. And these were mock-ups of some candles that they make. These are these guys right here. And what I was doing is I was just doing a mock-up of them. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to do this by working with a blend and working with the Distort and Transform tools, okay, which are filters. Carolyn, you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What,
Sorry, I think I was sitting on my little mute button or something. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So do you saw what I did?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about any of that?
No.
Okay. What I'm doing here now is I'm going to show you something a little bit different. This has nothing to do with 3D. This has to do with a slightly older technology thing called a blend. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to show you the Distort and Transform filters. So what I'm making here, I mean, this is a label. I'm not going to, yeah, this is a label. Okay, I'm not going to be making the label. But what I am going to do is show you how I made one of these little candles. See, that's the candle right there. That's not the picture. I had a different picture. But, I mean, you could see that that's basically telling the story of what that is, except that this one's got the label on it. And underneath that, there would be a little candle holder that you would burn this in a little cup.
Right.
Yeah. So what I do with this guy here is I make basically an oval shape, something similar to this. And again, I'm not going to get this thing to look exactly the same. I'm going to get it looking similar. All right. And then I'm just going to rotate this thing around a little bit because I want it to kind of be in that kind of angle right there. And let me get it back. I think I went a little too far. That's probably pretty good. And actually, I think it probably is a little too oval. So let me make that a little bit more round. That's probably okay right there. All right, so let me move that out of the way. So I got this guy right here, and let's see if I can copy the color on that right now. There. Okay, so I've copied the color. Now,
how did you copy the whole color with the white in the middle too, like that?
Well, this is the color. That's the color. That's what that color looks like. This was here. Let's go edit, undo. Edit, undo eyedropper. All right, move this over. So this is the color, and it's an oval.
Oh, okay.
This is a black oval.
It's so I
select this. No, it's simple. It's simple. You just select this, and you get your selection, or the eyedropper tool, sorry, and you come over and you click on this, and because this is the color, which is a gradient.
Right. I was going to say it must be a gradient then.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's what it is.
Okay. That's why I was confused.
No. So basically now what I got is I got an oval that looks nothing like this, and you see it's only got like 4 little anchor points. So the trick to this is that in order to make this thing scallop like that, I have to add some anchor points to this. All right, so now I think this might be a little bit smaller than I need, so I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. There we go. And I'm going to go to the Object menu, and I'm going to go to, where are we at here? Path. Add anchor points. Object, path, add anchor points. What's it doing? Why isn't it not adding them? Object, path, add anchor points. Why isn't it adding my anchor points? Wait a minute, go to the view menu, hide bounding box. Oh, there we go. They were, I just couldn't see them. Let's go edit, undo, add anchor points. That's probably right there. Okay, let me do that. Let me go edit, undo. Let me go back and edit, undo. All right, so here's what it is basically. Object, let's go. So what this is basically the bounding. See, you see why the bounding box is not a good thing to have on? I had the bounding box showing, and it basically what it was doing is it wasn't allowing me to see the anchor points going in. So I have these 4 anchor points. This is what makes that circle. So I'm going to go to the Object menu, and I'm going to add some anchor points to this. Object, path, add anchor points. The object is to get me points that I can turn into this scalloped look.
Right.
Okay, so that's essentially what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is go Object, path, add anchor points again. And now I think I've got enough to do what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is go to the Effect menu, and I'm going to come down to Distort and Transform, and I'm going to choose this time Pucker and Bloat. And I'm going to hit Preview, and since I'm set at 0, I don't see any effect. So what I'm going to do is slowly start bringing this over and it's really not a very big one. Let's see here.
Well, it makes your job easy, don't it?
Yep. Yeah, you just got to get it right. Got to get it just right. I think it's probably that's just too much.
Now I know how to use these tools, and man, you got to know all this little stuff for them.
There you go. Okay, so you see the scalloping now?
Yep.
All right, so now that's the first part of the trick. Now the second part of the trick is you're going to go edit, copy, edit, paste, and place. And then what you're going to do is you're going to drag that down here, and you're going to make that smaller. You're going to click on this guy and hold down the Shift and the Alt key and make it smaller, about like that. And again, I'm going to overdo this because I just want you to see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the fill, all right, and I'm going to go to the gradient, Window, Gradient. There we go. And what's going on here is, let's go to the gradient. And what I want to do is I want to click on that color right there, and I'm going to go to Hue, Saturation, and Brightness, okay? And what I want to do is I want to start changing that to something more like that, but I want it to be lighter. See, I want it to be lighter.
Right.
All right, that's maybe a little more, let's see here, maybe a little more yellow and a little less black. Be just right. That's good. That's probably pretty good. Okay, and now I'm going to do this again. I'm going to go edit, paste, and place. Where are you at? Edit, paste, and place. Now I'm going to bring that over here. And with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and, again, click on that. And this one I'm going to try to lighten up as well. As light as I can stand it. Probably right about there is good. There. Okay, so now I got these two. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in position. Now that one is probably a little bit too small. So I'm going to bring it up here, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. It can't be too small or it'll look a little bit odd. So let's make it just a little bit bigger. That's probably good. Okay, so now I got this one, right? And I got that one about like that. These two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it go up a bit more. Let me see. This has got to be, I think, a little bit bigger. I'll make it a little bit bigger. It's got to be just a tiny bit bigger. That's more like it. And I got to get them about in the right place. That's probably pretty good, I guess. Okay. So now I got these two, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of them. And I'm going to create what's known as a blend. And what the blend will do ultimately was it will go from, it'll make a solid continuing shape from this.
Okay.
So I'll go to the Object menu, go to Blend, and I'm going to go to Blend Options. Now, I can go to Smooth Color, Specified Steps. I'm going to go Specified Steps, and I'm going to specify like 100. I don't know. That's probably going to be okay. And so it's, in this case, I'm going to go Specified Steps, 100, hit OK. And then I'm going to go Object, Blend, Make. And if you look carefully, you see what it did?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the problem is this color, the top color. Let's see if I can maybe make that top color. Oh, actually, here's the way to do this. Let me put this on top and you'll see what I'm talking about. Object, arrange, bring to front. There we go. Let me put that in the proper place. Whoops. Put that in the proper place. Let's see if that works. Down maybe a bit. There we go. Take a look. When I drag that over like that, I didn't get them all selected. I bring them over like that. Oh, jeez. All right, let me do this. Let me lock it. Let's go. Oh, you know why? I got the direct selection tool. I got the wrong tool. All right, now I can drag it up. There we go. There. That's what I wanted you to see. See how that? Now, the other thing that we could do here is on the very bottom one here, on the very bottom one, I'll have to get the direct selection tool. You know the difference between the direct selection tool and the group selection tool?
No.
Okay. So this is the regular selection tool, and the regular selection tool, all it can do really is select things. So if I wanted to select something, I'd click on that and it would select it. If I click on that, it will select that. That's what the the regular selection tool does. If I want to click on this back object, see how that will select the whole thing? That's not what I want. I want to click on just the bottom object. So I'm going to click on that one, and that's called the group selection tool. Now, even though I didn't make a group out of this object, it was blended so it becomes a group automatically.
Right.
Okay. Now, next week, you're going to see me demonstrate that a little bit clearer. So just take my word for it for now. But what I have is an effect here. Oh, you know what? Actually, this is a great idea. Click on this. Let's just go edit, copy, edit, paste in place. And let me bring this down to the bottom, like underneath, object, arrange, send to back. I think that's actually how I did this. And I think I made it a little bit smaller.
So you're just trying to get like a layered look or something of the...
I'm trying to make first a layered look. Now I'm going to make a drop shadow. So what I did with this was I just made this black and white. And for some odd reason, I'm not getting my, I don't know why I'm not getting my, why did I lose my, hold on, let me delete there. Why did I lose my, maybe I'll do it with the bottom one. Hold on, let me grab that one. And we go edit, copy. Edit, paste and back. Okay, and let me see if I can just bring that down a little bit. Yeah, but I think the problem with that one is, let me see. If I do it. There we go. Yeah, you see what it's doing? See what it's doing?
Yeah.
It's still part of the blend.
That's weird, yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for. Let's go edit, undo color, edit, undo, move, edit, undo, move. Oh, man. Edit, undo, move. Hold on. Almost got it. All right, let me see. There. That's the way to do it. All right, so let's see if I can do it with this one again. So I got that one there. Let me put it back where it belongs. It belongs here. All right, about there. And let's go edit, paste and back. Oh, that's the same one. Delete. Edit, copy, edit, paste and back. There we go. And now let's bring it down here and let's make that black. Yeah, see, it removes the effect. Let's see. Distort and transform. Pucker and blow. Let's see if I can get this back. Preview. Too much. That's good enough, I think. Okay. And there's no stroke. Object, arrange, send to back. There we go. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do, and this probably should be a little bit smaller. What I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to shift alt. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Ah, man. I got to grab the, there we go. Got it now. Shift alt. I'm going to grab the little thing. There we go. I'll make that a little bit smaller that way. There we go. That's probably pretty good. All right, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. I'll move it up this way a little bit. That's too much. Okay, now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to first of all go to my transparency right here. And once again, I'm going to set this to multiply, but I'm going to bring this thing down in transparency very, very much. Like, again, see how light that is? I'm somewhere around maybe.
So what does multiply really mean?
I'll show you in a minute.
Okay.
I'll show you in a minute. You see this candle, this back candle?
Mm-hmm.
All right, see the shadow? See how the shadow goes over top of it and it shows what's underneath it through? Yeah. That's multiply. When you set multiply, what it does is it makes it so, and you'll see me, I'll do this in a minute. So I got this guy right here, and I'm going to go Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and preview it. And it's probably a little bit extreme. Let me bring it down some. A little bit more. Like about there is pretty good. Hit OK. And now watch. I'm going to go Object, Group. Okay. And now I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to move it over here. And you see what multiply does?
It looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks like it's stacking up on top of the others.
Yeah, it looks like it's really got a shadow.
Yeah, so that's another way. What I'm trying to show you by this is there's another way that you can incorporate a little bit of 3D work into Adobe Illustrator. In this particular case, you know, I got these little candles. So okay, so there's that one. Any questions?
Nuh-uh.
All right, let's go to the pool ball. Now this is a 3D revolve and a mesh. This is one of the things that you're going to be doing is working with meshes. And this is a simple mesh. Next week, I'm going to show you the veggies and the tomatoes. I'm going to show you them. This is the see, this is a mesh.
I've done a couple little fruits or something before.
Okay, so
with the mesh, but you know, we only did it one week. That's it.
Yeah. These are the other vegetables. Go to view. These are the other vegetables that were made with the mesh. And then, of course, there's an apple. I didn't do the apple. This is just the line work to show you basically how I created the shapes that I used to put the mesh on to make the tomato, not the tomato, but the apple. This would ultimately become like that. I'd end up doing that.
Right.
All right, so cool. Well, let's go back to this. This is a simpler one. Let's go to the view, and let's bring it back. So I have this ball over here. It's obvious I don't need to show you how to make a ball because you know how to do that, right?
Right.
Let me hide the transparency because I'll probably be looking for that again. Get that over there. What's this? This is gradient. Yeah. And this over here. And that over there. Okay, so I got a ball and I got a mesh. That's what this is. This is a mesh. Okay, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the mesh has lines and points, and I can put color into it. Now, I'm going to make an 8 ball, which I actually, this has got a 3 on it, but it's an 8 ball. I'm going to make an 8 ball. And again, I have the number 8 and I have the number 3, both made as symbols. And these are the guys that I use to make the symbols. And you could see it. There's the symbol. And if I click on that one, see it's got the little cross in it. That's a symbol.
Right.
That's a symbol. So as soon as I take that 8 and I make the 8 and drag it in there, it becomes a symbol automatically. And the original is more or less gone because it now becomes a symbol. The symbol, one of the values of a symbol is that when you put a symbol on a page multiple times, let's say you put 300 pieces from one symbol on the page. They're sort of like ghosts. They don't really exist. They have no real weight. They're reference points that are made from the original, which is in here. So the original being in here is the only thing that has any kind of size to it. The rest of these things are these artificially made things that the program makes. That's basically what it is. A blend is the same thing. When I made that blend, you only have the top and the bottom. Everything in between is artificially made until you expand it. And just so that you understand, when you make a 3D revolve, that's artificial too, until you expand it. Once you expand it, it becomes a real three-dimensional object that has been rendered in Illustrator, not by you, but by the program. How you render it is you take that object and you go into 3D, either Revolve or Extrude, and you make the object. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Good. All right. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to start off by, again, selecting my little, and this, I don't need a fill in there. This has just got a stroke of black on it. And I'm going to go to the effects, 3D, and I'm going to revolve this guy. And once again, we come in here and I'm going to map art just so that you can see what's going on. And by the way, I got to move this out of the way because this is all, let me hit cancel. This is all so huge. That's the problem. Okay, preview. There's my mapped art. Again, I can figure out where I want to put my little highlight on it, and I can do whatever I want with the light on it. I can make the light intensity greater if I want, you know, or I could make it lighter if I want. Let's see, ambient light. What's the ambient light going to do for me? Not much. Not much. Intensity, light intensity. Yeah, I can make it. I think it needs to be stronger. And I need the highlight size to be better.
I don't even see it.
Yeah, it's because of the highlight intensity. There we go.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So that's probably pretty good right there. All right, so I got that. And the other thing is, and I really shouldn't show you this until I actually get the map art on it. So now what I'm going to do is this is basically my 8-ball. I'm going to go map art. And there are surfaces, just like everything else, is a front surface and a back surface. I don't exactly know which is which at this point. I got number 2, probably the back. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put the 8-ball on it. And you see, there's the 8-ball. Now you're not seeing it because it's on the back side.
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and I'm going to put none on it, and I'm going to go to 1. This is the front side. All right. Now some of these objects, when you make them, will have 17, 24 different sizes, and I tried to explain to you on Monday night how that works. Whenever you create an object, like when you look at me create my pen, the Sharpie pen, I was explaining to you that the anchor points are what defines the areas of your object. The more anchor points you have, the more areas you have. So what you have to do is you have to try to strike a balance with the use of anchor points when you're creating your object. When you draw your object, try to draw the object with only the anchor points in areas where you want a change to occur. Does that make sense at all?
Yes.
Yeah. And when you see me do it, like last night, when you watch what I do it last night, I think it'll probably be a little clearer. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to get the 8-ball, put the 8-ball, now there's the 8-ball. See how the 8-ball appears?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to leave it alone, just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to come in here, and this is what I wanted to show you. We have different axes that we can show. Here's a front. Look, there's your front. See where the ball has its on the side. I can go back, see, and now it's the back side. I can go left, there, it's on the left side, see it?
Yep.
I can go top, I go right, well, you don't see it because the right's in the back. Top, and top, I don't know, top I would have thought went up there, but let's see what bottom does. Doesn't look like top and bottom to me, I don't know. So that's one thing you can do. Let me go to front, or actually let me go to left. Yeah. Okay, now look, see the little square?
Yep.
All right, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it around. That's the back. I'm going to come around here. That's the front. That is the front right there. The blue is always the front. Now, this is a ball. So, I mean, I can roll this ball around, and it isn't going to change the angle very much. What's going to change is the position of the 8. That's what's going to change. So watch as I roll this thing around. See, I can set that position of the 8 anywhere I want.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but the point is that when you create a pen or an object like a can or a bottle, and I'm going to show you more about this next week. I'll be doing more of these things next week. See, now I can start bringing this up. See, I'll start bringing it up slowly. Here, it's coming up. The 8's coming up slowly. See? Now, the highlight stays in the same place, but you end up with your ball there, or your 8 there. And again, I can add more lights if I want to this, make it a little bit more brighter, you know. And I think that's probably pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to hit OK. Now, there's my 8. Now, this is a different process. This is what we call a mesh. Have you done anything with meshes yet?
Just a little bit with some vegetables.
Okay, so what you do with a mesh is basically you come over here and you start placing lines on your object. Okay? Start placing some lines on your object. See? Well, there's the mesh. That's the mesh tool.
Okay, so you have the mesh tool selected, and you're
Yeah.
placing lines.
And what I did was I placed one line going here,
Mm-hmm.
and then one line going here, and now I'm going across. So watch. See? I'm going across.
So you can put some color or something, whatever you want.
Absolutely. And what I can do is I can come in here and place more lines. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't really have too much in mind for this, but what I was thinking is I'd give you an idea of how this works. So what I can now do is I can come in here, and this is where your color panel comes into play, because you want to bring your color panel here, and you want to bring your fill forward, okay? And what you want to do is you want to go HSB or grayscale. Let's go grayscale. Yeah, there we go. Let's go grayscale on this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select with my tool, I'm going to select that, and I want to go to grayscale. And what I want to do is I want to start, see what I'm doing? I'm adding highlight.
Yeah.
Click on that, and let's go to grayscale. Actually, I don't know why this is set to CMYK, but I could do that as well. There's CMYK. I seem to have 2 lines there. I don't know why that is, but okay, that's great. That's what I wanted. Okay, now, whereas this guy here, I can put lights on it, but I don't have the ability to inject color. So let's say, for instance, I want this to kind of look a little bit like it's getting the reflection off of the green of a pool table. I can come in here and I can start grabbing this, and I can start playing around with color. Let's go to RGB, okay? And I can start playing around with color, and you see what I'm getting? I'm getting some color in there.
Right.
Okay, now that's probably a little extreme, but let's see if I can kind of mellow it out by spreading it out. All right, I'm going to come over here and drag that color over as well. Okay, and then I'll come over to this one here, and let's see if I can kind of finish that off that way. There, perfect. Now I'm going to come over this way, and I'm going to see if I can taper it out that way. There, see, I'll make that a little bit less, and then I'll make that a little bit less as well. And if I really wanted to, I could come over here, and I can make that a little bit as well. All right, and I think I got the wrong one. That's not the right one. It would be, let's see, it would be that one. See if that does it. There we go. Okay, so let's deselect for a second and see what we got. So I get that. Now it's not the greatest.
No, but it looks cool though.
Yeah, and then I could come in here and I could continue doing the same thing. I could get the tool and I could come in here. Got to have the mesh tool, by the way, to do this. Come in here, click on that, and I can kind of like see if I can maybe make that fade out.
So this is how they make those fancy Christmas bulbs.
That's kind of how it's done. You know, what I'm doing is I'm kind of filling this in, and I'm not being very subtle about it. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right, and then make that a little bit lighter. That's a little bit too much. I'll bring it back down some. And let's go here and bring that down a little bit. Okay, so I think you generally get the idea. And then, of course, what you would do is you'd take this and drop that on it, and object, arrange, bring the front, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the only problem is that if you wanted to rotate this, you can't, because this is not a rotatable object, where I can go back into Pathfinder, or I mean Appearance, I'm sorry. I can go back into Appearance and I can change this around. I can move that 8 somewhere else. The only thing I can do with this is if I wanted that 8 to look a little bit more like it is curving, what I could go is go to the effect, and I could go, or I'm sorry, object, where are we at here? Envelope distort, make with warp, and I don't want the arch. What I want is I want the bulge there. And what I can do with this is I can play around with this bulge, and I can bend it.
That seems a little harder.
Yeah, well, this is, no, it's not. It's, you just got to know the right way to go. See, I want to go horizontally a little bit.
Right.
Okay. Or if I want to go the other way. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to play with it a little bit and make it look a little bit more like it's on there. This is not really doing it all that much. Too much, I think, is what it is. That's probably okay right there. Let's see, vertical a little bit. The other way. That's probably okay. There. So it's, you know, and then of course the other problem with this thing is that with this, if I went back into here real quick, it's after 9. I'm going to end in a second. I don't want to keep you here all night. But if I come back in here for a second, and if I go to 3D Revolve, and if I hit Preview, or you know what? Shit. Cancel. Hold on. Let me get this over here. Let me move this out of the way. All right. This is something else. This is another nice little nicety about this. So 3D Revolve, Preview. There we go. Let me move this over here. And if I go back into my map art, what I can do is I can go map art. No, I hit the, no, there we go, map art. There it is, right there. All I wanted to do is I wanted to hit shade art and hit OK. And hit OK. What happened? Where did it go? Map art 8. Where's my, is it? Where did it go? Why is it gone? Huh. There we go. Okay, so you see how I shaded it? Mm-hmm. Okay, I hit shade right here. Watch, I'll just quickly show you. Shade artwork. Right. Now, I didn't originally do that. The first time I did it, I didn't do it. So it was like dead on white. Now, hit OK and deselect it. See now, see how it kind of shades the whole thing? Yeah. I can do the same thing with this, but what I would have to do with this is I'd have to create something like, oh, I don't know, maybe like another shape over top of this, like an oval shape over top of this. Watch. Okay. And then what I would have to do to make this work is I'd have to get my gradient, window gradient, okay, and I would have to apply a gradient to it, right? Only this one I would probably want it to be a radial, and then I'd have to play with the gradient, actually. Here we go. There we go. Maybe that's a little extreme. Hey, you know what? I don't care. I'm just giving you the idea. So let's get this over here like that. Now, this is where the transparency panel comes in. Go to Window, Transparency. This is where the blend modes play. Okay, because you see that is basically, and as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm wondering if I should do this. Give me 1 second. I know we should be over.
No, you're okay.
Okay. I just want to show you one more thing here. I'm going to take this, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that color. I'm going to change it to green. I want to see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Now, okay, so that's it. Let's change it to green. Let's see what happens now. All right, so the transparency panel, the blend modes. So here's the normal. That basically is what normal looks like, okay? It looks just like that. It looks sort of like, you know, just a green opaque thing. But if I go to darken, see what it does? Mm-hmm. Okay, and if I go to multiply, that's a little subtler. Actually, I think darken looked pretty good on that one. See that? Mm-hmm. Or I go to color burn. That's too much. Multiply.
Now, see, I've played around with those before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, many of these are not going to work right.
But
okay.
I don't really know how to use them. But I have.
Well, I'm showing you basically what you would do in a case like this is if you had something that had a hotspot or highlight on it, right? What you would do is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to make that overlay and yet affect the color to give it somewhat more of a color than just black and white. Right. Right. That's essentially what I'm doing with this particular application. There's many other ways that you could use this. This is just one. All right. Yep. Well, I guess that's it for tonight. Okay. And I will be in Blackboard tomorrow night if perchance you need to come in, and I'm going to stop recording.